Okay, so today is September 10th, 2024, and this is the first time I have picked up my planner myself since Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. And looking back on what I had going on in April 9th, 24, so that was a month after me being unemployed. And honestly, I was so hopeful. Like, I was so inspired and motivated to basically focus more on my business and like take that time to really pour into what I really wanted to do, which was get my business off the ground, host some events, start working on some like digital products and different things that like are within my skill set. And what can I say? So I was okay. So from 2020 when the world got shut down, this is great. This is gratitude here, right? So gratitude is in 2020, I never lost my job. Like, they sent me home for the first 5 months. Well, maybe 3-4 months. I went home for the first 4 months of the pandemic shutdown, but I worked remote. But because my job was not a job that you can actually like tend to at home and at the library, they just gave us like little articles and videos to watch and like write a summary or whatever. So it was cool. So I had a paycheck without even having to really like work, and that was a blessing, right? But by the time the pandemic came, I was ready to get out of Tallahassee, Florida, and move back home. So before the pandemic even happened, I had already started looking for new jobs because I needed a big girl salary, and they just was not paying me a lot. I was making like $22,000 or whatever, and while I was in school with like student loans and stuff, that worked or whatever, and that was good. But I knew that like once I finished school that July, I would need a whole salary that could pay my bills and support me and my family or whatever. So let's see, by May, I started to panic a little bit because all the jobs that I had previously applied for ended up sending me like emails that they canceled their position search because of the pandemic, and they just didn't know when they was going to like have the money and do all the good things. So I thought that was going to be my reality. So because I was so adamant about moving back that I didn't want to go back to Tallahassee, I started coming up with like plan B. And I was like, you know what, my uncle got an apartment, I can just sleep in an extra room, and I would just like hustle, DoorDash or whatever until I find a solid job. But that was where I was willing to be, to just move home, and I was gonna figure out the rest. But one day I was hanging out with my friend, and I just had a moment where it's just like, no, I don't have to settle. Like, I don't want to make me settle. So that day with her, I was like, no, I am gonna find me a job, and I'm gonna go look for apartments. Like, I am gonna move, and I'm gonna have all the things I already have. Like, I'm not gonna downgrade my life. For this, I'm gonna go for what I want. That was like Friday. Literally, you guys, like, I don't know if that was like the Monday or the next Wednesday, I had got an email for an interview at a public library in Lake County. And that's when I knew like all I had to do was declare it. And it was mine. So I got the interview, got the job. Then I was like, well, I can work 2 jobs until for a couple months probably. I was like, I can work a couple jobs or whatever until they make me want to come back, and then I'm gonna quit that other job. But I learned I couldn't have 2 government jobs at the same time, so I had to let that job go while also starting this job. But anyways, I worked at that job for 3 years, and I didn't really think I was gonna make it past 6 months in that job because I literally hated it. But that job was so like paramount to what and who and what I do today that I needed to go through that process. Like, that was the only way I was gonna find Jesus for real. Like, I had to go through the ringer and try everything I can out of my might. And then one day it was just like, if I don't stop, I'm gonna take myself out. So it was just like I had to surrender, and I had to go see God, because that was the only other option, because it really didn't make no sense how low in despair I was, because it's just like I had everything I needed. I ended up getting a new car at the end of 2020 because I needed one, because I had a 1997 Lexus, and I ended up getting me a 2018 Honda Civic that I love to death, love the color and everything. But so I had ended up getting a newer car. I had my own apartment with my daughter, she was going to school. You know, like I had a paycheck, I had a good job, I had good benefits. Like there was nothing I really could complain about as far as just I felt like the quality of my life had decreased where I wasn't able to, you know, when you see people online, I'm not trying to say I'm comparing myself, but it just seemed like since 2020 people have been traveling and going everywhere and doing all the things and like living their life. And it was just like all I could do is work and take care of my kid. And um and I was like, I wasn't even paycheck to paycheck. I was like below paycheck to paycheck. Like that account stayed a negative for years, like between whatever. So I had to like come up with a hustle and start baking. I had to do Amazon delivery. Like I had a few jobs just to make ends meet, and it still wasn't meeting. I had got a roommate at one point. Like I went through it, but I needed all of that to get where I'm at. So to fast forward to 2024 was like, okay, I've had one job for 3 years plus all these side hustles. Then I finally got a job that the schedule was better. My daughter was able to go to school with me, and I was making the most money I ever made. But the job was like hella stressful, like to a degree that I can't even express. Where once I started that job, my business suffered because I could not like use my brain to create and free flow with ideas. Like all I could think about was I gotta be prepared for this, this, and this, and like how I'm gonna like survive every day at this school or like that. So to lose that job in March, it was like wow. I also actually didn't have no plan B. Like I did not have no plan B. That was like it for me for a while because I got that job thinking that I was gonna get Kenzie through elementary and then I will, you know, live the rest of my life how I need to when she was older. So when that ended, it was just like, okay, where do I go here now? So it's just like business was the only thing I could do that I felt like was left for me. And that's a whole story in itself.